This poem shall speak of the wretched sea that washed ships to these shores, of mothers crying for their young swallowed up by the sea. This poem shall say nothing new. This poem shall speak of time, time unlimited, time undefined. This poem shall call names, names like Lumumba, Kenyatta, Nkrumah, Hannibal, Akhenaton, Malcolm, Garvey, Haile Selassie. This poem is vexed about apartheid, racism, fascism, the Ku Klux Klan, riots in Brixton, Atlanta, Jim Jones. This poem is revolting against first world, second world, third world, division, man-made decision. This poem is like all the rest. This poem will not be amongst great literary works, will not be recited by poetry enthusiasts. It will not be quoted by politicians or men of religions. This poem is knives, bombs, guns, blood, fire, blazing for freedom. Yes, this poem is a drum. Ashanti, Ma, Igbo, Yoruba, Nyabingi warriors, Yohuro, Namibia, Yohuro Soweto, Yohuro Africa. This poem will not change things. This poem needs to be changed. This poem is a rebirth of a people, a rising, awakening, understanding. This poem speaks, is speaking, have spoken. This poem shall continue even when poets have stopped writing. This poem shall survive, you, me. It shall linger in history, in your mind, in time, forever. This poem is time, only time will tell. This poem is still not written. This poem has no poet. This poem is just a part of the story. His story, her story, our story. The story is still untold. This poem is now ringing, talking, irritating, making you want to stop it. But this poem will not stop. This poem is long, cannot be short. This poem cannot be tamed, cannot be blamed. The story is still not told about this poem. This poem is old, new. This poem was copied from the Bible, your prayer book, Playboy magazines, the New York Times, Reader's Digest, the CIA files, the KGB files. This poem is no secret. This poem shall be called boring, stupid, senseless. This poem is watching you trying to make sense from this poem. This poem is messing up your brains, making you want to stop listening to this poem. But you shall not stop listening to this poem. You need to know what will be said next in this poem. This poem shall disappoint you because this poem is to be continued in your mind, 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 in your mind.
This is Adele from Adele Connection. And when I want Conscious Talk Radio and Conscious Music, I tune into FreedomPath Radio.
Greetings and thank you for staying with us. This is Adeeb Shabazz, your host of the Conscious Music Movement Show. And today we are blessed to have with us a very special guest. We've got Jamaica's own revolutionary dub poet, Mutabaruka. And he has been good enough to join us today and share with us about his life, his legacy, his work in uplifting humanity through his words and through his teaching. And we're very excited because we are, of course, broadcasting from Savannah, Georgia, and right here in our home state. He's going to be here in Atlanta on June 3rd, Sunday, at 7:30 p.m. We're going to go ahead and give more details about that toward the end of the show. Definitely get your pen and paper ready or type it into your phone, whatever you may do in order to keep account of that. What you just heard, by the way, we just went ahead and played first one of his tracks that we're going to be reviewing today is called This Poem. And those were the words of Mutabaruka. Definitely inspiring, definitely speaking about the constant poem that is, as he said, never finished. Definitely an inspirational work, one of many that Mutabaruka has. But without further ado, let me introduce Mutabaruka. Welcome, brother.
Yeah, man, good time. It's been here, and as I said, we'll be there on the 3rd of June. Looking forward to it. We have been in Atlanta for a good little while now, so it's always good to come to Atlanta because, Atlanta is one of those areas in America where we see people looking like us, the majority. So it's always good.
Most definitely, lots of love for someone of your stature coming to Atlanta, definitely. And we're going to definitely be looking forward to having you here in Atlanta, or here in Georgia. And for me, I'm going to do my best to travel up to Atlanta. We're definitely going to have somebody there to greet you from FreedomPath Radio.
Yeah.
I just want to go ahead and give some of the listeners a background on you. First of all, your name, Mutabaruka, from my research, it comes from the Rwandan language and means one who is always victorious. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, we took the name from school. In the late 60s, it was like the Black Power movement, and as youth in Jamaica, we're searching for that identity. And I writing poems and reading poems. I read this poem by a poet from Rwanda called Jean-Baptiste Mutabaruka. So the name struck me, so I took the name without knowing the meaning actually. Years after I went to a university in Paris where the Rwandan students thought that I was from Rwanda. So they came and they realized I was from Jamaica and they asked me if I know the meaning of the name. I said no, and they told me the meaning of the name. And from ever since, I've had contact with people who knew that poet, Jean-Baptiste Mutabaruka, and it's always good, and it has identified me for a very long time, and that's good.
That's very interesting. So you kind of felt the name in your soul first and then were informed of what the meaning was.
Yes, which is like the opposite of most times when somebody take an African name, they find the meaning first. In my case, I had the name first and then found the meaning after.
Right, kind of like your soul already knew that name was for you. Very interesting.
Yes, because the poem that I was reading from this poet was a similar poem to what I wrote. And I find it very interesting that at a school youth, a teenager going to school, could have actually wrote a poem that was very similar to a poet who was in an anthology of poetry, So that was really amazing.
Very, very much so. And speaking of when you were a teenager, I see that you were a convert from Catholicism early on, and you found Rastafari. Can you tell us a little bit about your path to discovery?
Yeah, well, it's not actually Catholic. I was not Catholic, actually. What happened is that my mother, in Jamaica, we have what you call tenement yard, where if you don't own a house and you pay rent, if the rent get too high, you have to move. And
right.
What happened, fortunately or unfortunately, whenever my mother moved, she was always moving in the same area. So it's not like we move from one district to the next district. We would move like even from one street to the other side of the street, depending on how the rent was. So in that area, the church was a Roman Catholic church. It was the biggest Roman Catholic church in the Caribbean, actually, called the Old Trinity Cathedral Church. And she used to send me to that church every Sunday morning at Mass. So I actually knew about, the different things in the Roman Catholic Church. And when I was with my grandmother, who lived in a different area, in a place named Jonestown, a Trenchtown area, my grandmother was a Baptist. So when I go to my grandmother's house and we go to church, we go to a Baptist church. But it was really because I was with my mother most of the time, we went to the Roman Catholic Church. So I got this. I've never been to a next church, apart from what we call in Jamaica the revivalist church, which is always in an area.
Right.
So I grew up in that. I was christened in the Roman Catholic Church. I didn't know anything about the Pope and all these things. And when I grew up big, I know about the Pope and things. So at that stage in school, I was going to church because in school, in my late teenage life, I was more like a Black Power person. You see, and what my evolution come because the Black Power movement, as I knew it in Jamaica, was more of a political nature. You know, it never offered any spiritual awakening in my environment. So, you know, African people is always spiritual. So to just have this political idea about Black Power wasn't enough for me as a youth. And the only other thing in the society that was not only of a Black Power nature, but of a spiritual nucleus was the Rastafari movement. So we started to investigate this movement of Rastafari. And because I was going to a school where Marcus Garvey Jr. was teaching, this is Marcus Garvey's son, we had that serious influence of Marcus Garvey in the school. You know, so that helped to propel my what we call now movement from just being political to spiritual. And Rastafari was that thing that propelled my thinking, you know, up to this day.
Right. Okay. That definitely is, quite a path to discovery of self. During this time period, I heard that you read books like Soul on Edge by Ulrich Cleaver, Autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah, man, as a teenager, you know.
They were illegal in Jamaica?
Yes. You know, it's weird because I am reading these poems that I wrote in school, and these are the poems now that people know me for. And these were poems that I was writing when I was a teenager. It's amazing that after so much years, I'm still reading these poems, and people don't realize that this was a teenager writing in that time. You know, so because of these books, as you said, these books were banned because people felt that if you started to sprout Black Power, you would be anti-white. And if you started to say Black Power, you become so anti-establishment and revolutionary that the then Prime Minister decided that he would ban the book. So the books of Malcolm X and Elvis Cleaver, Soul and Ice, and, you know, Black Power by Stokely Carmichael was seen as like, oh, you just have marijuana today. You know, if it was found with these books, you would be prosecuted. So we had to tear the cover of these books. Like, for instance, the Autobiography of Malcolm X. I remember tearing out the cover of the book and putting a love, like one of these little fantasy love novels on the cover. So as not to be caught with these books, especially in school. When they search your bag, they say, these little foolish, you know, Mills and Boone novels, they would let you go, you know, but that's what we had to do. And, you know, it's stick with me over the years. You know, Franz Fanon, Mary Steva, you know, I mean, some Caribbean writers, which hardly was, we didn't know any. Because going to school, we didn't learn about Caribbean writers. We learned about, you know, for instance, English literature. There was no such thing as a Caribbean literature. There was English literature. So what we knew was like Shakespeare, Keats, Chaucer, and these guys. We never know that you actually had Black people who write in the Caribbean.
Right. Wow, that is very interesting, and you know, I'm glad that you shared that because many people don't know that. Many people who are not from the Caribbean don't realize the extent of how they ban books like that, and you know, I know that'll bring a lot of understanding to people about the background of those.
Yeah, man, it was terrible. I mean, it was terrible. Just like how the Rastafari went through a persecution. You know, the biggest atrocity that's ever been done on any group of Jamaican citizens was against the Rastafari community. And that was almost like the same thing with the books. You know, Black books, you can't move with Black books. You know, you have to hide them like it's illegal, like it's ganja you have. You know, and I remember I had to throw a lot of books in a gully because we had this group, and we were told that police was coming to raid the place. So we had to take out the books. Imagine. That was the thing that was most, there was no guns there. There was no drugs there. What was there was books. And we had to move the books because we would be prosecuted if the police raid the place and found the books. And the police did raid the place. But we had already taken out the books out of the place, you know. So that is really, it's a weird part of Jamaican history that a lot of people don't remember that these things was happening, where black books was not, you could not be found with a black book in Jamaica.
Tells a lot about how they attempted to keep down our people in Jamaica through just whitewashing, and explains a whole lot about the mentality of many Jamaicans who don't embrace their own culture, don't embrace their own history.
Yeah, and to think of it, that was that prime minister who did that was the blackest prime minister we had up to the time. His name was Eula Sushira. He's now on the $5,000 bill. He was the blackest prime minister Jamaica had up to the time when he banned the books.
And oftentimes, and I'm just going to leave it at that, many times they'll put one who looks like us to do their bidding.
Yeah, we call them roast breadfruit in Jamaica.
Definitely.
The roast breadfruit is a fruit that you put on the fire to bake it. And what happens is the fire takes it and it's black outside. But when you cut open it, it's very white.
Right. Absolutely. On that note, Muta, we're going to go ahead and play Revolutionary Words. I think that's appropriate. We can go ahead and hear that track that you have and really appreciate that piece. And then we'll come right back after the break.
Okay.
All right. So this is Adeeb Shabazz. In case you just joined us, FreedomPath Radio with the Conscious Music Movement Show. And we'll be right back after listening to Revolutionary Words by Mutabaruka. Be right back with you.
Revolutionary words have become entertainment. Revolutionaries babbling out angry words about changes we need, the system greed, while they take it for a joke, sniffing on coke. Revolutionary words being digested with bubblegums, popcorns, ice cream in tall intercontinental buildings. Revolutionary words have become entertainment. Oppressors talking about oppressors, oppressing the oppressors. Where are the oppressed? Revolutionaries sipping coffee and tea, explaining what it's like to be downtown, around town, dancing to the disco, getting low, not knowing where to go, while the Salvation Army is still leading the revolution. Revolutionary words have become entertainment. Revolutionaries revolting against change that's taking place in their heads. While Grenada change, Ethiopia change, Nicaragua change, the dollar change, the revolution is changing Namibia. Let us shout about that. Revolutionary words have become entertainment. Lipsticking, afro not doing, dreadlock attack, no turning back. Revolutionaries have all gone to the art centers to watch the suffering of the people being dramatized by the oppressors in their revolutionary words. Revolutionary words have become entertainment. Grenada change, Ethiopia change, Nicaragua change, the dollar change, the revolution is changing. Change in Namibia, let us shout about that.
Okay, thank you for staying with us. We just listened to Revolutionary Words by Mutabaruka, our guest today. In case you just joined us, this is Adeeb Shabazz, your host of the Conscious Music Movement Show on FreedomPath Radio, FreedomPathRadio.com. And we have Mutabaruka with us live, and we are very, very grateful. We're discussing some very interesting aspects of Jamaican history and what was allowed and not allowed in terms of really embracing and learning about our history, our culture, not being able to read books by black authors, just amazing. But here is a man who has overcome that and has embraced his culture and embraced the spirituality of Rastafari. And before we go into that, I want to go into more of that, but let's go ahead and discuss Revolutionary Words. What inspired you to pen that piece right there, because I do love that one.
All right, Revolutionary Words was written I think the late 60s, early 70s, and it was in response to writers and revolutionaries who became almost the oppressor. The oppressed became the oppressor. And what happened is that these revolutionaries started to behave and react like the same thing that they were fighting against. You know, as the poem says, sipping coffee and tea, explaining what it's like to be uptown, downtown, around town, dancing to the Bee Gees, getting night fever, while the Salvation Army still lead the revolution. It's all about black revolutionaries who was revolutionaries in the time, but for some reason or another, they trip out, you know, either through drugs or just becoming a part of the system itself. You know, we can see that happen right across the board, even during the hippie era. A lot of these hippies are now part of the mainstream oppressive system in Wall Street. You know, these guys will tell you that when they were young, they was in California smoking and, you know, free love, free sex and all these things. Now they have become part of the oppressive system. It's the same thing with the black community. You know, we have drugs being a main thing that destroy a lot of the consciousness and the mindset of black people, where they were so revolutionary that they didn't realize that the enemy could have used something so simple to divide the revolution and to get rid of the revolution. So this is what I was speaking about. The revolutionaries have become entertainers. These revolutionaries is now part of the oppressive system.
Right. I mean, and that's something that we see everywhere, definitely. You know, those who embrace the revolution and actually lead the revolution often become another oppressor and becomes a yet another face of oppression.
Yeah, well, if you look at even the American way now, because we as youth, we need to look at the Black Power movement in America. Where have all the Black Power advocates gone? A lot of them are still alive, but where are they today? We are in a worse position now than we have before. So where are all these Black Power people in their life now? Where are they? Why is it that Afro seems to be something of the past and it's a year style? If you look at the ladies, the sisters who used to spout Black Power, the ear is looking more like white people than white people here. You know, these Black Power people, where are they?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right.
I'm figuring one of the reasons for this loss in this reversal of the revolution is because in that movement, the spiritual element was missing. You know, that African-centered spiritual element was not there. It was more like it was politics. It was political. Food, clothes, and shelter. There was no divinity in that. There was no source of being, that African retentive element. You know, because the Black Power movement was not geared towards Africa. It was not dealing with reparation or repatriation. It was just talking about, black people, not identifying necessarily with Africa. We know that land is the basis of power. If you don't have any land, you don't have any power. And, you can't just be saying black, and not recognizing that every nation on earth is identified through the land base of them heritage, of them DNA. And black people is the only people that keep saying black people and not saying where's black people from. Black people is from Africa. Just like Chinese. You don't say yellow people when you say Chinese. You say Chinese people. Chinese is related to China. Indian is related to India. So European is related to Europe. When it comes to African people now, we say black. And then now people say, well, we can be African Americans, and but yet still we are black. So they identify themselves more with America, which is really the Native American land, as opposed to relating themselves to Africa, which is the only land that African people can truly say is theirs.
Very good point. Very good point. Speaking of revolution and speaking of a land where things are been in turmoil, you wrote a piece on Haiti, and I definitely want to go right to that one next. Give us a little bit of introduction on that piece there.
All right. It was written, I think, the first time when America actually invaded Haiti. But it was written because we recognize that Haiti, in this part of the world, is the first free state where black people dominated. It led the way for the revolutionary spirit of African people to free themselves from colonialism and imperialism. And Haiti led that way. It led the way in such a way that part of that connection was to Jamaica, where there's a man by the name of Bookman. Bookman was a Jamaican who actually went to Haiti to become part of that struggle for the liberation of Haiti. And the Asian people actually migrated the revolution into places like New Orleans. There was a plan afoot to liberate African people from slavery. The Asian people was saying that slavery is wrong in all its forms, not just for Asian people, but for everybody who came in contact with slavery. So the idea was to even invade America to free the Africans in America. They reached into New Orleans, and we can see the influence of Asian culture in New Orleans. The voodoo and the food and all these things. It's part of that process of going into a place where African people were slaves and helping to free them. So we recognize Haiti as the symbol of strength and the symbol of vigor for what can happen when African people decide that they're going to free themselves. So that's the poem Haiti.
Thank you for that. That was a beautiful explanation and introduction to that. And we're going to go ahead and listen to that piece right now, Haiti by Mutabaruka, and be right back with you, Adeeb Shabazz, with Mutabaruka on FreedomPathRadio.com, the Conscious Music Movement Show. Be right back with you.
Haiti you're going and no one seem to care. Haiti you're going, neighbors beware. The poverty and death that haunts every day. The boat that leaves to the USA. You're paying for the Africanness you still keep. You're paying, Bookman is not asleep. You gave us Haiti the strength to fight. Black people in the Caribbean, I say unite. Break the chains that keep us apart. Haiti suffers because it made us start. Haiti, you have the will. Haiti, Africa calls you still. to pay. Blacker than night, never seen the day. But too black is always the reason for your pain. But your fight for freedom will not be in vain. 80 you're going and no one seem to care. 80 now, but neighbors beware. The blood, sweat and tears that is shed today will be a guide for Africans along the way. Cuba beware. Jamaica beware. Trinidad beware. Grenada beware. Caribbean beware, beware, beware. Care no fear. Care no fear. Caribbean beware, beware, beware. Break the chains that keep us apart. 80 suffers because it made us start. But too black is no reason for pain. The blood for freedom will always stain. You have the will. 80, Africa calls you still. Caribbean leaders, what are you going to do? Today it's 80, tomorrow it's you. Today it's 80, tomorrow it's you.
Haïti ou pralé, et personne pas mêlé. C'est Haïti kounya. Mes voisins, restez sous pinganou. Sang, cieux, ak l'âme n'a pas crié aujourd'hui, a toujours guidé l'Afrique africain. Cuba, restez sous pingao. Jamaïque, restez sous pingao. Trinidad, restez sous pingao. Grenade, restez sous pingao. Caraïbes, restez sous pingane. Caraïbes, restez sous pingane. Casser chaîne qui peut séparer nous. Haïti, on peut souffrir. Peut-être nous c'est premier. Mais trop ouais, pas raison pour nous souffrir. Max sans liberté a toujours été là. Haïti, ou gain volonté. Haïti, l'Afrique a relé toujours. Des Caraïbes, ça n'a pas fait. Jeudi c'est Haïti, demain c'est nous-mêmes. Jeudi c'est Haïti, demain c'est nous-mêmes. Jeudi c'est Haïti, demain c'est nous-mêmes. Demain c'est nous-mêmes. Demain c'est nous-mêmes.
All right, thank you for staying with us. During that break, we just listened to Haiti by Mutabaruka, and it's a very inspiring piece. Like you said, Mutabaruka, Haiti being that first free Caribbean nation, liberating itself from the shackles of the French, and being a great foundation for those who share their culture and share ties in America, in Louisiana and New Orleans and the surrounding areas. Very, very important for us to understand the connection and the tie between Haiti and America in that respect as far as black people go. So now I wanted to go ahead and move back toward more of what you were speaking about concerning Rastafari, and I really found it interesting that what I read about you anyway is that you see other paths such as the Hindu path, Buddhist path, and so forth, as ways toward attaining spiritual enlightenment. And you respect those, even though your chosen path is Rastafari, because here on FreedomPath Radio, what we really encourage is not so much just organized religion. We really encourage open discovery path to spirituality, and it seems that you embrace that in the way that you live your life out.
Yeah, well, what I've seen through experience is that we cannot be closeted into and we cannot allow the environment that we live in make us believe that that's the only place that exists. You see, I think what is happening to the African people all over the world, especially in colonial states, our colonial mindset, is that we embrace the European ideas of logic. And the European ideas of logic work for Europeans. It don't work for African people. And the reason why I say it don't work for African people, we can open our eyes and see. We can even close our eyes and say it is not working. So we have to, in this colonial time, neo-colonialistic time, we as African people have to create our own logic. Literally create our own logic. So in order to create our own logics now, we'd have to go and search, like I said, Sankofa. We'd have to go back, way back, before slavery. Because when I was going to school, I never knew that Africans had a history. I thought that Africans were slaves bringing us here and all these things. That's as far as my history went, that we were brought here as slaves, not knowing that the experience of African people is thousands of years much older than the coming of the Europeans into Africa and the Arabs into Africa. So we have to go back to the time when we used to create our own divinity and spirituality based off of our connection with life, with nature, with the earth and with the stars, the moon and all these things. So what I have recognized is that in going back to come forward, I realize that African retentive element still exists in my DNA. And part of that African retentiveness is the creation of a human divinity, where the human being is divine when he finds himself into a certain level of consciousness. And in order to find a level of consciousness, you have to move away from being a slave, because a slave cannot free a slave. You have to free yourself.
Right. Just
like Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed many more African people if only they knew they were slaves. You see, so you have people who's walking around believing that they are free, but they are slaves. So what the logic is defining is a new creation, a new being in the colonial existence, domiciled on these former slave plantation islands. The Rastafari movement has been able to create an African retentive spirituality that surpass and even supersede that of what we were taught in Christian belief. So even though a lot of people using European logic might say, why are we saying this thing? Why are we looking at a man, an ordinary man in Africa, and claiming him to be a deity? We're saying that it is not a new thing for African people to create their own deities. You know, most the pharaohs, most of the emperors that exist thousands of years before Europeans was elevated to that level by the people. It is the people that is creating God. It's not God creating the people. It's God working for the people. So it's man create God and God reciprocate and create man. So there's no beginning to this element of consciousness that the Europeans say that in the beginning. There was no beginning. It always existed. In some form or another it existed. Maybe different forms, but the same substance that is ruling and creating that element of consciousness that comes through the ages. So Rastafari has been able to tap into their Africanness, being farmer slaves. and recognizing that Ethiopia, whether you're a creationist or you're an evolutionist, it is a fact that Ethiopia is the original birthplace of the human being. The oldest fossil of any human being was found in Ethiopia, a woman by the name of Benkenesh, where they call Lucy. So, and in the Bible, it tells you that one of the rivers that flow, that encompassed the garden, was a garden, the Gishon, which encompassed the whole land of Ethiopia. And in the evolution, it tells you that the oldest fossil of human being is found in Ethiopia. So there is no if and but about it. Ethiopia is the foundation, is the basis for human existence. So the Rastafari needed to go back to that foundation and draw from that their spirituality. Now it might seem ridiculous because of what we were taught in the Western world, that you cannot make a man God. But everything that is good or bad emanates from man. There's no concept of God that did not come from man. There's nobody on earth that can say, God said this and God said that and truly mean it. Because everything that man said, God said, is man saying it.
Right.
There's no thing out there that is saying it. So we say now that we have found in Ethiopia the path to our liberation. And the path to our liberation now is accepting Africa as our land, as a foundation, and accepting Haile Selassie as that pathway to that consciousness that we seek. Not through Jesus. We're not searching it through Jesus, because Jesus is what enslaves us. And the white man, God is not going to free you from white man oppression. You have to create your own thing. And Rastafari create this thing to as a response to colonialism and slavery. And out of that response, we have now gathered momentum into seeing a bigger picture where life, the sustenance of life, to most indigenous people, as a matter of fact, and the ancients, is very important to the what they call the movement of purity, of divinity, to human beings. So we have culture, a Rastafari culture that defines this existence. It's not just saying the thing, it's not just going to church on Sunday and then go back to work on Monday, or you party on Saturday, and you go to work, you go to church on Sunday. It's about partying in the name of Rastafari and worshiping in the name of Rastafari and working on Monday in the name of Rastafari. So it's a 24/7 delight. It shows us as so-called farmer slaves how to eat, how to express yourself, how to dress. We have created a philosophy. We have created a language within the language of the colonial masters. You know, without even knowing outside things, we have learned how to preserve our health. We have learned how to become a part of nature, a part of this thing that was taken away from us. You know, so there's a retentive African retention embedded in the Rastafari movement that is very important to the survival of people. That is really what he's saying.
That is very powerful, brother. Very powerful, Mutabaruka. I've never quite heard it put that way and that powerfully, and it is a powerful thing to be able to express it in a way of putting it to the point where you are creating your own culture, creating your own God.
Logic. We are creating our own, because there's no denial that every concept of God comes from man.
Right.
And this is just a concept that is coming from man again. But in this concept that is coming from man again, it goes into African retention element that is embedded in our DNA. This is a memory. It's a kind of amnesia black people have. And the only way to get black people out of this amnesia is to redefine and define yourself and to allow other people to define you. So when we say Haile Selassie, people say, but he is just an ordinary man. Well, that is why it is so great. That is why it's so great, because really and truly we were given a man who is Jesus, who was not born of a man. He was born only of a woman. And that is an imbalance in itself. To say God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost is extracting the feminine energy from the Trinity that was supposed to be there in the first place, based upon our study of Kemetic and Ethiopic traditions, where it was always a family structure. You know, you can't have a mother and you can't have a father and a son. Mm-hmm. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, you can't have a father and a son that is defining your divinity. You have to have a family that is defining divinity. And that the greatest aspect of that divinity is the feminine. And that is what Christianity has done. It has, as a fact of most religions have done. Most religions have extracted the feminine out of the divinity. That even though the Christian and the Roman Catholic say Mary is the mother of God, she's still extracted from the divinity. The only person that is divine in that story is the Son. You see, and it's not an African retentive thing. It was not. Africans are more matriarchal in the mindset rather than patriarchal. So when we say Haile Selassie, what we are doing now is going back to the days where is we elect God. You know, it's just that. We electing this God. And we're not going after what the perceptions of Christian mindset. Christian mindset, Judeo-Christian mindset has been able to usurp the whole idea of spirituality. Really, it has become, it's a politics. It's mostly politics. Really, it's all about politics.
Very, very interesting. Very powerful spirituality that is drawn on the basis of attaining your own freedom and taking your own freedom back. Speaking of that, I'm going to go to another track, and I would think it would be appropriate to play The Eyes of Liberty. Tell us a little bit about that piece that we're about to listen to, The Eyes of Liberty.
Well, The Eyes of Liberty is my way of traveling continuously over the Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge and seeing the statue that was given to the Americans by the French, and knowing that Manhattan is one of the biggest real estate scams. Manhattan was sold for $25 from the so-called Native Americans. So keep going back to and fro and looking on that bridge and saying, but this is what they claim to be the country of liberty and justice. And we question that liberty and justice as we see it in history and in present-day politics. The things that as America have done, not only to Americans themselves, because we also mention in the poem, they bombed Philadelphia. A lot of people don't remember that the American government actually bombed their own citizens in Philadelphia. And the group of people was called the Move. I don't know if you remember these people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, Africa and all these people was bombed because of becoming what they call antisocial. So it's not only bombing them other people, but bombing themselves also. So that poem is coming from looking on that statue continuously and saying, where is the liberty and justice that is meted out when the president send bombs into Iraq, send bombs in when apartheid was there, nobody invaded South Africa, you know, but the Sandinista government, you know, in Nicaragua, in Grenada, in Cuba, all of these places was invaded by America. And we ask the question, where is the liberty and justice?
Very true, very good points, and let's go ahead and listen to that track right now, The Eyes of Liberty by Mutabaruka. This is Adeeb Shabazz with the Conscious Music Movement Show on FreedomPathRadio.com. Be right back with you after this track.
On that bridge I look and see the symbol of your justice and equality, standing tall with your torch of flames. Now I ask, what is your aim? You invade Grenada, you invade Nicaragua, you bomb Hiroshima, you bomb Philadelphia, but the eyes of liberty is watching you to see what next you will do. The eyes of liberty is watching you. Your liberty and justice is only for a few. True owners of your nation is forced to live on a reservation. Now I see you in my land, making all kinds of plans. Spending billions of dollars every year to keep us all living in fear. Economical pressure is your game. Liberty reaching with a torch of flame. Yes, the eyes of liberty is watching you. To yourself, you must be true. The eyes of justice is crying out. What is your democracy all about? Talk of invading Libya, no talk of invading South Africa. But you invade the Sandinista government, using Jamaica as your Caribbean investment, and the Palestinians are your biggest resentment. Terrorism is the order of the day. I say, where will the children play? You invade Grenada, you invade Nicaragua, you bomb Hiroshima, you bomb Philadelphia. You're the symbol of true justice and equality. Stand erect for all to see, making plans for the Asians, helping to keep down the black Americans. But the eyes of liberty is watching you, watching all the things you do. The eyes of liberty is watching you. To yourself, you must be true.
This is Adele from Adele Connection. And when I want Conscious Talk Radio and Conscious Music, I tune into FreedomPath Radio.
All right, we're back. Thank you for joining us. In case you just joined us, I hope you didn't miss it, but in case you did, this is Adeeb Shabazz, the host of the Conscious Music Movement Show, and we have a very special guest, Mutabaruka. We just got finished listening to The Eyes of Liberty, speaking about the unjust invasions of nations, and in the contrast, not invading places like South Africa where injustice was constant for so many decades, so many decades. And we definitely love that piece, Mutabaruka. Wanted to go and really get back, because you were really just educating us. I know you were educating me very well on so many different aspects in life. I want to go and get back to that a bit. But before I do, I don't want to forget just going into a little bit more history about you. You have been a poet for over 40 years. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, I've been a poet from going to school, I mean, I was in school when I started to write, and we have take that path, not knowing where to carry us, because I didn't know that writing poems late in the night in my little mother house would eventually get me to 6 different continents. I never know that. Right. I never know that poetry would be that powerful. So really the pen is sometimes mightier than the sword, really.
Right. Okay. Definitely. I wanted to go back to that because I wanted to definitely give something to the youth, and just pointing out that you have been a poet for that long, going back to your school years, just to point out that those who are listening from amongst the youth, you never know where your work is going to go, so always take that work seriously, because Mutabaruka, you are a living example of what can be done and what your work, how far your work can go. And
yes, I've been to 6 continents.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when I was writing my poems, my mother used to complain because she said poems can't pay a light bill, because I used to write late in the night, when she gone to bed, and she would hear me writing and come in the room and say, lock off the light, because the poems can't pay the light bill, So we just continue with it, not knowing where to take us, we didn't know. I didn't know that it would take us here. But I guess this is where we are, and we don't feel any, feel no way that we should have taken a different path. Because I don't only write poems, I do many other things. If you are in Jamaica, you will know that I do a lot of other things, even sometimes looks like totally opposite to writing poems. It's like I play music. I'm a disc jock a lot of times playing music. So, you'd wonder how come a poet like me get to be so in depth in music and all kind of music. And we plant, we plant food. You see me in my farm, you'd wonder if I'm a poet. But what I think is one of your black icons say there's as much dignity in planting as in writing a poem.
Right. I mean, it shows that you are embracing a holistic life.
Yeah, man. You see, how it come now? You see, how the teacher, for instance, where it is now, the teacher that you must go to school to get a good education, that you can come out and get a good job to make more money. Now, education should be for the upliftment of your spirit, not for making money. Right. The problem with the system is that when you go to the university and you come out, you cannot get a job. So you go right back into the idea of what am I going to do with this PhD, with this master's, when there's no job that I can fit. But what? They didn't teach you how to create jobs. They teach you how to fit into their job. See? When entrepreneurship, it should be the key element. And black people, most of the time, don't know how to own business. We know how to fit into business. We like to be secretaries and managers and all these things. Yeah? We don't like to own things. If we run a business for 3 years and it's not working, we say, well, we can't bother. We start with something else. So we have to develop this entrepreneurship where we go into owning things rather than to fit into things. And that is really what the school system should be all about. The school system should be to teach African children how to leave school and create jobs, not to try to fit into jobs. What can you create out of your thinking, out of your education to make life better for you and others around you, And I think that is one of the first elements of liberation for any young people right now, to create, to earn from their creation rather than to fit into something that you have today and tomorrow you might lose it.
Very true, very true. And that's the difference between the thinking of a slave and the thinking of a free person.
A free person, yes.
Right.
The slave wants to be secretary. The slave wants to be a house slave. The slave wants to work in the master where there's hardly any sunlight, where he have air condition and he can sit down. Meanwhile, I'm sitting down with the air condition, he's having diabetes because I'm eating the wrong food, I'm not getting no exercise. He's having high blood pressure, he's having asthma, he's having all sorts of different things because he's sitting down with the slave master and he don't know that his master is suffering from these ailments because he's not out there in the field. Most people want to work inside the office. They don't want to work in the field. And that is really what's happening now with these fast food chain that is stagnating the growth and development of our children especially. Because right now we have children having disease that when I was a child, the only problem that young people used to have is running too fast and scrape up their knee or dropping off somewhere or something. We never have children and teenagers having diabetes, obesity problem. This was something I think is old people did get.
Right.
I think it was like, when I was a teenager, it's old people I hear have diabetes and all these things. So I hear teenagers in Jamaica having diabetes and obesity, them fat and it's all about what you take into you. We use our mouth as, the gateway to the cemetery in our belly, and it created a big problem. And that is also part of the colonialism, the neo-colonialistic behavior of the people where We don't realize that it is attacking us from different places. It's attacking us from the school, from the church, from the politics, all sorts of different ways, you know what I mean? If you look at how the youth, them dress, you know, I mean, tear up clothes, you know what I mean? Black people used to have love tear up clothes in them closet. They never used to wear it. Now Europeans allow you to wear tear up clothes, and they charge you for it. Big money, tear up jeans. You know, it's weird. They have us walking around with these little bottle of water in plastic bottle that take 500 years to disintegrate into the soil. I mean, how did we get so thirsty that we have to be walking around with plastic bottles of water? That is creating more problem now with the plastic.
Right. Very true. Very true. And, you know, speaking of that, and the way that we have our minds and our bodies in the kitchens of the oppressors and the oppressive mindset, so to speak, it was a perfect time for us to go ahead and listen to the next track, which is Junk Food. And definitely want to go ahead and check that out. So let's go ahead and go to that track. We'll discuss it after the break and when we listen to it. And be right back with you and Mutabaruka. This is Adeeb Shabazz, the Conscious Music Movement Show, and we are here on www.freedompathradio.com. We will be right back with you after listening to this track, Junk Food, by our guest, Mutabaruka. Be right back with you.
Remember the cold supper shop you used to stop at? You coulda eat anything. It was like your granny cooking. Corn dumpling or ackee. From big fat, matty. Stew peas and rice. Used to really taste nice. Now our ice cream stand taking over the land. Junk food pulling up the place. This is another disgrace. Junk food pulling up the place. And no good food I go to waste. Strawberry ice cream, raspberry ice cream, them a berry way, you know see. Ice cream, hot dog ice cream, living the American dream. Junk food fooling up the place. This is another disgrace. Junk food fooling up the place. And no good food I go to waste. You know that sweet will rot your teeth, but it's only ice cream you go get to eat. Jukes pan the corner taking the scene, puffing up your belly with ice cream. The scene get mean, run you must, but your belly might bust. Gunshot clap, one of your friend drop. Flex out time, leaving your ice cream behind. Junk food fooling up the place. This is another disgrace. Junk food fooling up the place. And no good food I got to waste. Follow fashion is the order of the day. Can't get no food, that is what them say. Miss Matty shop have to move. Granny cooking out a groove. The disc jockey say, announcing the opening of an ice cream stand in the parish of St. Anne. Next month is Westmoreland and another one in Clarendon. Watch out Portland. Strawberry ice cream, raspberry ice cream, them a berry way. You know see, ice cream, hot dog ice cream, living the American dream. Junk food pulling up the place. And no good food I got to waste. You's a Rasta girl?
Yes.
You eat junk food?
No.
What you call junk food?
Junk food is things that are not good for you, like dairy ice cream.
You don't eat dairy ice cream?
No.
What kind of ice cream?
Soy ice cream.
Oh, that different from the other ice cream?
Yeah.
So what are the food you call junk food?
Like candies and sweets. Other types of sweets.
How old is?
11.
You ever eat meat yet?
No.
No? You never eat meat yet?
No.
No meat at all?
Okay, thank you for staying with us. Welcome back. This is Adeeb Shabazz, your host of the Conscious Music Movement Show. And we have with us our very special guest, Jamaica's revolutionary dub poet, Mutabaruka. And we just listened to Junk Food. We were just getting some good information about the politics and spirituality and education of liberation. And a lot of that includes making sure that we live a holistic life. Mutabaruka is definitely an example of that, not only being a dub poet, but as he was saying, very well-rounded, being an educator, being a disc jockey, being a man who works in a farm to grow his own food, staying very active and being a holistic person. Very important. We can avoid many different illnesses and ailments of the mind and the body if we live in that manner. So thank you for that, Mr. Baruka. The time has gone by so quickly. I know we could go on for hours. I know I could just listen to you for hours and take in this information because it's very valuable. I hope to be able to do so again. I hope that we're able to bring you back at some point in time. But before we go, I definitely want to speak about what's coming up on June 3rd. Speak Life's Power Spoken Word Explosion, featuring yours truly, Mutabaruka, and that will be Sunday, June 3rd, 7:30 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is brought to you by Embracing Life Production. Tell us a little bit about what everyone can expect from you during this period on the 3rd.
Yeah, well, it's all about what I would call the philosophical opinions of Mutabaruka through poetry commentary. You know, because we don't just read the poem, but we also comment on what is the reason for writing the poems and why we choose to write the poem. You know, so it is really an adventure into the mind of Mutabaruka. You know, what makes me tick and what we believe and what we think should happen. You know, so it's a total show. You know, I hope you have enough time. Because usually we perform for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know. Real spoken word without music.
Right, very important. So, you know, bring your minds to this event, folks. Bring your minds because this is interactive, just like Mutabaruka said. You know, you interact, you know, you're going to speak about what the poem is about, the inspiration, and comment on it.
Yeah, I guarantee it will make you vex and it will make you laugh. Guarantee. If you are in that audience and you are not either vexed or laughing, well, you will be reimbursed your money.
That's beautiful because we need to feel the highs and the lows, and we need to heal our soul. So I know from what you've given us just from this discussion that you are very capable of doing that, and people should look forward to it. As far as ticket information, I'm going to go ahead and let you give that information as far as attending the event, but also we're going to go ahead and have that information posted on FreedomPathRadio.com in case you don't have a pencil and paper to take it down. But go ahead and give us that information.
The information for the show?
Yes.
I think it's the 14th Street Playhouse. I don't know exactly where the 14th Street Playhouse is.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly where it is.
That's fine, because we'll have that information posted on FreedomPathRadio.com. You can go there right now, in fact, and go ahead and get that information if you're listening. So, not a problem. I know you are, you know, you're coming into town to deal with it. So So not a problem.
It's the 3rd of June, which is a Sunday evening. So you don't have to go to church, because you'll be also at church too.
Right. Church should be long over by then. If you need to go to church, it should be long over, and you can go ahead and get some good inspiration after that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Will you be in Atlanta for a little while before or after that?
Well, I think we are coming in a day before, and we leave in the 3rd or 4th. I don't remember where we're leaving. I actually don't get a ticket yet, actually. I don't know what is the situation, but it's Sunday's the show. I have to go back to Jamaica, Tuesday, at least Tuesday.
Right. Okay.
Anytime before that, we're attending this literary festival in Chilana, not Chilana, St. Elizabeth in Jamaica. So we'll be out of Kingston for the weekend, next weekend. So I guess anytime after the 30th, we are okay, so it's just that.
Right, understood. Okay.
You have to ask the sister, Dora that name Dora Chimo. You have to ask her what is the time we'll be coming in and going out.
Okay, yeah, definitely get that information from Dora Chambers, who was good enough and dynamic enough to put this event together, and we definitely thank her for this. It's going to be a wonderful treat, and understanding this is going to be the first of many annual events to come, this Speak Life, Power, the Spoken Word Explosion. And it's definitely a blessing that you are going to christen it and inaugurate it, so to speak. And who better to have?
I'm always the guinea pig for these things.
Say again, brother.
I say I'm always the guinea pig for the inaugural thing.
Definitely. Wonderful thing. Well, Brother Mutabaruka, I mean, the time has flown. We could do this for hours, but time has gone very quickly, and I just want to thank you for being with us on the Conscious Music Movement Show and FreedomPath and hope that this won't be the last time that you're with us. Looking forward to the event as well. And
good thanks for having us.
Not a problem. Our honor.
Good thanks for having us. Yeah. Okay.
Our honor, and on our way out and closing out the show, we're going to listen to Bone Lie, and we thank you for tuning in with us. For all of you that tuned in, this is Adeeb Shabazz, your host of the Conscious Music Movement Show, and with myself and Noah, who is on hiatus. Thank you very much for joining us and our guest, Mutabaruka. And please go ahead and stay tuned to FreedomPathRadio.com and go to the website and actually get the information for the Speak Life, Power, the Spoken Word Explosion featuring Mutabaruka on Sunday, June 3rd, 7:30 p.m.
This is Adele from Adele Connection. And when I want Conscious Talk Radio and Conscious Music, I tune into FreedomPath Radio.
Mangoes, do you lie? With your rumors, you're causing pure strife. So back where with you. Bone lies. What this you're telling I and I. Bone lies. You trick your dog, but you can't trick I.
It's not the first them war without. What our faith is all about. It's not the first them war we sing we song by the rivers of Babylon. Now them come again, wolves in the lion den, want to discredit I and I with them big bag of bone lies.
Bone lies. What this you're telling I and I? What kind of bone them you claim say you find? Bone them.
1935 to 1975, them say Rasta you got dead. Some get bummy and shave them head. But for all who stand, we must see the promised land. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Patience can sometimes hurt you, but it's still a virtue.
Though it may seem like some gone astray, Rasta will still rise the next day. Though it may seem too great a task, our love for Selassie will never mask. Oh, now.
You laugh last, laugh the best. The race is not for the swift, but it's who endure the test. You kill I today, you can't kill I tomorrow. Today you laugh, tomorrow your sorrow. No matter what you
no
say,
care of CNN try.
Rasta there
No
stay.
care of BBC lie. Them can't kill the spirit of the Rasta man. Bone lies, bone lies. What this you're telling I and I. Bone lies, bone lies. You trick your dog, but you can't trick I. So have faith, my hydrants and sisters, have faith. Africa awaits its creators. Have faith, my hydrants and sisters, have faith. Africa awaits its liberators.
Though it may seem like some gone astray, Rasta will still rise the next day. Though it may seem too great a task, our love for Selassie will never mask. He who laugh last, laugh the best. The race is not for the swift, but is who endure the test. You kill I today, you can't kill I tomorrow. Today you laugh, tomorrow your sorrow. No matter what you say, Rasta, they have to stay.
Bone lies. What kind of bone them you find? What is you telling I you? A horse bone, a tiger bone, a elephant bone.
Bone lies, bone lies.
Mangusto bone them you find.
Bone lie,
a
bone lie. You can't
the
trick
people all the time.
Bone lie, bone lie.
What this you telling I and I? Bone lies,
Bone lie,
bone lies.
bone
You
lie.
trick your dog, but you can't
Trick
trick
I.
Can't trick Rasta.
Bone lie, bone lie.
No.
Bone
You couldn't
lie,
find His Majesty's
bone lie.
bone.
You
Then the bone
can't
is
trick
too precious
I.
we find.
Bone lie, bone lie, bone lie, bone lie. You can't trick I.
How much the mangusto bone them you find? Oh Lord. Ribby bang bang, a diggy ding ding. Mangusto, you run way now. Jawachi kings of the Lord of lords. The conquering the lion and the tribe of Judah. Rasta they have to stay now. Our love for Selassie will never fade. You trick your dog, but you can't trick I. Bone like them.
What if God were one of us? The question that everybody's been asking lately. What if God were one of us? Breaking it down so that everyone can understand. What if God were one of us? The book by Adeeb Shabazz. What if God were one of us? Sold online at www.whatifgod.net or at a store near you. What if God were one of us? Make sure you get your copy today.